that element, which I have not seen in other dating apps before either, involved in or a big part of QQ.
If you have highlights you want to put up, there will be a spot for people to look at those. It'll stay on your profile. You could delete it when you want to delete it, or you can leave it up for as long as you want to leave it up for.
We're going to allow men and women, or whatever you identify as, to showcase yourself as a whole. So it's a dating app, but it's also your Instagram link there, your website, your art.
All right, guys, what's up, everyone? Welcome back, Passionate Profit Podcast. Today, I am joined by Sierra and Hannah, and we have it's a special episode. So I've talked to you guys before about this app that I was creating. So today, we're going to introduce it to everyone. It is Quality and Quantity, and it's a dating app. So it's a big deal. But I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves. Sierra, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, I'm Sierra. I am currently in a doctoral program to become a clinical psychologist. Currently doing my dissertation on relationships, so I guess you can call me a love psychologist, if you will. So yeah, when this idea was brought to me, I thought I want to jump on it. I want to work with couples, and what better way to get that started? What about you, Hannah?
Hey everyone, I'm Hannah. I am a mom and I'm also a business owner. I've worked with a lot of different businesses, six-figure entrepreneur as of last year, so that's a big celebration. And I am the head of marketing at QQ. I also do a lot of creative direction and web development, so a lot of the behind the scenes online fun stuff like that, and then also in front of the scenes on Instagram. Sierra and Fredo brought this idea to me and I thought it was super exciting. I was really excited about working in the app world and getting to be really personal and see, I love relationships. I've been with my partner for 6 years, almost 7 years. And so the behind the scenes building up to that is a really fun area to dive into. So I'm excited to talk about that today and see, how we can make QQ the best app ever for dating.
Amen.
So before we go further, first I want to thank you both for accepting and going on this path with me. The app will launch April to May timeframe of this year, so 2024. So just stay tuned for that. There's a lot. We'll dive into it, but there's a lot planned in terms of the launch event and events in general. So just follow us on Instagram. We'll put the handle out there. But thank you guys. I appreciate it for stepping on that with me.
Yeah, of course. So I'm going to go ahead and ask you a big question that I know everyone behind that screen is wanting to know. What truly sets QQ apart? Because there are so many dating apps out there. It's so oversaturated. So can you tell us a little bit about that? Yeah.
So the big question, what's different between QQ and any other app out there? And I thought about this a lot because it's obviously something everyone wants to know about. And I came up with like a few things. Well, obviously the features and stuff we'll talk about. But I think the main thing that we have to remember is we are not inventing a new wheel. The way is the way that's out there. Dating apps work, they're all the same in terms of like features and price points. And those are like the differences between the apps. I don't think that there's anyone yet that has come out and like completely redone the app. Like it's not like we came out with a new Instagram or Instagram for the first time or Snapchat for the first time. So I don't think we're coming out with something that's like, oh my God, we've never seen this before. Some of our features are different and the idea behind our app is different, and we'll kind of dive into that a little bit. So the first thing being, we wanted to take the approach with how can we connect like a bunch of different platforms and put it all on one app. So when I was thinking about this, I was like, how can we, and some of this came through talking with you both, but instead of going to Instagram and going to someone's DMs or like having to search for someone who, one, may not even be interested in anyone, two, may be taken, but they're just not posted or whatever. How can we combine all these things? Or like, let's just say like, hey, I'm into nurses, or I'm into lawyers, or psychologists, or just entrepreneurs in general. So instead of going through LinkedIn, which some people do, and finding those professions and be like, hey, like, and then go to LinkedIn and then go to Instagram to go see what they're doing. Like, how do we just link all this stuff together? So that's kind of going to be the main difference that we are striving to achieve. So the first thing with that is we are adding Reels. So just very similar to Instagram, we are taking somewhat of that and we're throwing it on our dating app. So if you want to post a story, if you have highlights you want to put up, there will be a spot for people to look at those. It'll stay on your profile. You could delete it when you want to delete it, or you can leave it up for as long as you want to leave it up for. Some people will bring up like, hey, what if I'm private on Instagram and I don't want everyone to see that? That's amazing. Don't post it if you don't want anyone to see it, because you can't really make your dating profile private, right? So if you're choosing to be on the app and you want to upload these things, one, I'm all for it, but two, that is the one concern or difference between Instagram. You can make your stuff private, only show who you want to show. The second thing is we are adding a spot for websites. So for entrepreneurs like yourself, if you wanted to, in a way, it also promotes your stuff. And if you're looking out there to get in the dating world, then you get promotion and people can know a little bit more about you. You're an artist, you paint a lot. That's one of your things. So if that's like what you're passionate about and you want people to see that stuff, boom, they could get to know you through that way. So I think that's an amazing thing too. And then like people prior to the podcast, our boy Neri, he does design. He has his company and clothing, so he's taken. But if he wasn't, another way of branding or another way of someone being like, oh, this is what this person does. The other thing is LinkedIn. So these three platforms that I kind of talked about, just tie them all together. So I think that's like the main point.
Also, like, having a psychologist on our team, like, I feel like, we are going to be releasing the quizzes super soon on the website that Sierra's developed. And I feel like that's a huge differentiator because, Sierra this is what you're doing your dissertation on right now. And having, like, we all sit around and hang out with our friends and we're like, oh my gosh, like, talk about all of our relationships and like what makes them different, or like, oh my gosh, some people are really into like zodiac signs, like, oh my gosh, I'll never date like a Gemini again, or whatever it is. So I think having that element, which I have not seen in other dating apps before either, involved in, or a big part of QQ, I think that's huge because, Sierra, you could talk about it.
Yeah, so I kind of want to streamline what Alfredo and Hannah are both saying. So what sets QQ apart is we want our users to have one place to be able to find love, to market themselves, to find connection. LinkedIn, Instagram, Reels, and their selected photos on their profile for someone, so essentially potential partners can see them in one place. We don't want our users to have to go to Instagram, to have to go to LinkedIn, to have to go on someone's website. We don't want that. We want our users to find love in one place. With technology nowadays, the grass is greener on the other side. There's accessibility to so many things. And so we kind of want to streamline that for our users. And that's kind of the birth of QQ.
And you don't want to feel like a creep. You know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly.
You're going through like different things like LinkedIn and then you go back to Instagram. It's kind of weird, but
yeah.
I got a quick story real quick for the compatibility quizzes and the zodiac signs. I was not into zodiac signs at all. Like 2 years ago, I took a quick trip to the Bay and we met up with one of my buddies. Actually found someone on Hinge or Tinder, whatever it was. So we went to this girl's house. There was like three of us, two of them. My buddy, is meeting his date, and then it's just me and my friend and this other girl. So we were just sitting there and she just dove deep into zodiac signs. I'm talking the sun came up deep and we were still talking for hours about zodiac signs. And since then, I'm not gonna lie, I have looked at people that I was like, oh, like, do we actually match? Or if it was like a failed thing, I was like, are we compatible? So I think that is interesting.
Yeah, totally. And that's not like, the entire part of, because, Sierra does a lot of like, the psychology behind it is a lot of just like, oh, what's going to make us compatible, like long term? Like, I mean, as somebody who has a child, like, I mean, when you first start dating, you know, of course, I mean, I think a lot of women and like a lot of people, you know, men too maybe know like, oh, do I want to have kids? Do I not want to have kids? But like when you first go on a date, you're not thinking like, oh, do I want kids or do I not want kids? Like that's just not something that you're initially thinking. But we kind of should be thinking about it because when you dive in and you're like, oh, you know, 3 years, 2 years, 5 years, 6 years, whenever it is in, and you have a 2-year-old, and then, you know, some issues that maybe you like, you know, just kind of bypassed in the beginning of the relationship start coming up, then it's like, oh, okay, like I guess these are the things that, you know, we should be focusing on when we first start dating. And I think opening up the landscape and like making that an accessible and normal thing to talk about and just like be transparent about with your partner from the beginning, like I think that's really cool. And I think that's something that also will set QQ apart, you know, just, you know, opening up those conversations that maybe feel uncomfortable in the beginning.
Yeah, and I think like you brought up a lot of good points. So I think building off that, QQ really, like we were trying to embody a more mature audience with people who are actually ready and willing to date. And so one of the questions our user will answer is, you know, their intentions with the app. Not saying, you know, they need to commit to, oh, I want to find my wife, but, you know, I want to make genuine connections. And also QQ, we are really aiming to destigmatize meeting people and finding connections on dating apps. I know in our generation, you know, people are kind of embarrassed to say, oh, I met her on Tinder, I met her on Hinge. But we want QQ to be a place where people are proud to say, you know, I met them on QQ. And just building a community of trust and really representing all different kinds of love and making people feel safe, and that, you know, building our algorithm in a way that's very specific to the intentions of the user using the app.
I was going to say, yeah, it really is, though, the tagline, you know, a dating app for everyone, because, you know, if you are just looking like, hey, you know, maybe you're single and you're like, I don't want to find my person right now. I just want to go and have fun because, you know, I'm in, you know, Santa Barbara visiting for the weekend and I want to have a good time. That can be your intention. And that's, you know, celebrate that. That's freaking awesome. Like be in that season of your life and own that. And then if you're like, oh, I am in a place in my life where I'm like, I want to settle down. I want this to be serious. That can be your intention too. And I think that's huge. Being able to put your intention and just be, you know, transparent and straight up and honest about that.
Yeah, I agree. I think you hit it best earlier. It's just like we're just gonna try and bring it all together. Just one spot, make it interactive, and just give everyone literally one location to be able to put themselves out there. And at the end of the day, it's kind of like qualifying yourself, or like trying to put up as much as you can, because the only reason dating apps don't work, or if they have worked for you, it's probably because you gave the algorithm information. Like dating apps will not work if you just put in the basic stuff. So if you're able to give it as much as you can, it's going to work and give you, you know, a partner or a match with what you're looking for. So I think that definitely needs to be done. So it's kind of like, we'll put it there for you. It's like every other dating app. Again, we're putting it there for you. It's just how the user wants to use the app.
You're going to get as much as you give.
Exactly. You're going to get as much as you give. So that's that.
How do you guys like equalize the playing field? Because if you look at Tinder, Hinge, usually like the guy doesn't get as many matches as a girl. So in a guy's perspective, like how's this different? Because usually an app is like, for a girl she'll get 100 likes, and then for a guy maybe he'll get like 10, or you know.
So I can't really answer that, but this is what I'll say. I think it goes back to like, we're not changing anything. We're not reinventing the wheel. So if you're a guy out there and you don't get as many, you know, likes, honestly, maybe the girls can answer that. You know, if a girl's not like, I guess when my question is, do girls press like a lot or not really?
Okay, I feel like Sierra's going to say this.
I have a little example right now.
And wait, actually, let me take it back real quick. Let me take it back. For my friends and myself, like when guys go on dating apps, like they are the ones initiating. They are liking away. Guys are the ones on Hinge buying unlimited likes. So it kind of is like, you know, I do see your point. And by the way, that's Woo Guys, everyone. He's He's gonna pop us with some questions. But I do see your point. I don't know. That's an interesting question. I'm gonna take that back to the developers and myself and think like, how do we get that fixed? But at the end of the day, if girls just simply aren't liking that much, you can't make them send fake likes.
Okay, well, here's what I'm going to say. Naturally, men, like you said, they are more of the go-getters. Like, that's kind of the way society is, especially in dating apps. But the difference with QQ is we're going to allow men and women, or whatever you identify as, to showcase yourself as a whole. So it's a dating app, but it's also your Instagram link there, your website, your art. You're an artist, right? You're a photographer, you're a videographer. You're going to be able to showcase that and attract women or girls that are into that or that think that's really cool. And I'm not saying that, you know, that is going to get you more likes, but at the same time, it's going to attract people who are attracted to you as a whole versus just, you know,
Gonna give you the right likes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Just curious, what are some general questions that you use in the questionnaire for the data?
That's a good question. So yeah, like Alfredo said, we're not changing the landscape entirely, but I used a lot of psychology and just humanistic approaches when developing the questions. And again, it can seem like a lot, right? When you're signing up, I know someone's first reaction might be, I don't want to answer all this shit. But at the end of the day, you're going to get out of it what you give. And so it's going to ask about your intentions, your personality type, what you're looking for in a partner, the kind of way that you spend your day. Are you a morning person? Are you an evening person? The kind of work that you do, just different stuff like that. Because like Hannah mentioned earlier, a lot of these topics are taboo to talk about when you're first dating someone for some reason. But these are all things that make a lasting relationship and connection. And so we kind of just want to feed our algorithm with data that does matter. So again,
I think that's why people go on a dating app too, is
Right.
so like you don't have to have the initial awkward conversation when you're dating, because essentially the app's doing that for you. Like, we're taking out that awkwardness because like you're only going to be matching with people that you've already you've already vetted. And like, just to kind of build off of what Sierra's saying about like, and what you were asking about, like, oh, how are we equalizing the playing field? I mean, allowing people to show the full magnitude of who they are and, you know, what they do, I think that makes a huge difference. And it's not like, oh, this is what, like, you know, swipe right or left, I can't remember which way it is, if you know, like the way I look. It's not just about that. It's about like, oh, like, would we be compatible in a relationship if that is my intention with the app, you know? And I think like just having a much more well-rounded view of the entire person and like what their career is, like, that's gonna get like maybe a man that's not like the best looking dude goes on there and he's like, oh, this, like, I don't want this to have the same experience that I've had in other, you know, dating apps. But he's gonna have an opportunity to showcase all of the other parts of him that maybe he couldn't showcase before. You know, he's gonna be able to, like, you know, if he's, you know, very successful at a company, he can showcase that. You know, if he's an artist and he's creating amazing art, he can showcase that. So again, we are leveling the playing field by being able to show the entire person, because it's not just about looks if that's what your intention is. Again,
Right.
You give the app what you get.
Right.
Or you
And-
get, yeah.
How does it benefit the ladies? I'm just curious.
So I have an example right now of in at least people that I know, you know, women from their mid to late 20s who are single. So a very popular way of finding partners right now, because dating apps are out. You know, the dating apps that currently are on the market, people are not using them, at least to find higher value or quality men and women. And so essentially girls are going on LinkedIn and searching for really good companies, right? Or like top producing companies, whether it's tech, whatever it is, finding men in the company and then searching them on Instagram and then following them on Instagram and then trying to connect, not on LinkedIn, but knowing what they do business wise, bringing that to Instagram to then make the connection. However, you don't know if that person is receptive to it. Maybe he's married, like Alfredo said. Maybe, you know, he doesn't post his wife. Maybe he doesn't like that you found him that way. So we're kind of streamlining that, if that makes sense, like Hannah said. Oh, okay.
Sorry guys, there's a buzz
Sorry.
in the background. Were you done there?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I agree with everything you said, and it touched base. And the other two things, and by the way, to tap back to what she said earlier, it's like 8 clicks away and you'll be on the app, we promise. So it's actually not that much, but where it can get in depth is obviously filling out the rest of the stuff to feed the algorithm, feed the users that are going to be viewing your profile. So, that you can do on your own time. So if you just want to get in there and start clicking, you'll get
You
it.
can hop in and
You'll get there quick.
just play around and then add the rest later if you want.
Literally. But there's 2 things that we're working on that I'm kind of happy about, and I think it's long overdue. The first being dating reviews. Now this is tricky because, one, I don't think anyone else has it. I know a lot of people have been, you see this when you're doing market research or just research in general, or just talk to anyone. It's like, how do you get to use a dating review without sabotaging the other person's profile? And there are some different ideas we have, so I won't fully say like, hey, this is what we are doing, because we don't know. But there has been talks, and we are talking about it in depth and thinking about it, how exactly to get it so that if I go on a date with Hannah, that we can give ourselves a review. And I'll just spread some ideas here, and you guys could drop in the comments or whatever you guys think. But the first thing that comes to mind, and I think maybe one of the easiest ways, is, let's just say me and Hannah match. Upon matching, there can be a prompt being like, hey, would you like to, let's just say we set a date. Maybe a prompt pops in. I don't fully know how this will play out, but basically what we'll do is we'll agree to, before we go on the date, to review each other. We'll both agree that we want to review each other. And it shouldn't be that big of a deal, right? If like it's a genuine date and we're like, yo, like I'm actually interested in you, like let's go and, go on a date. So the first part is, agreeing to go on the date. The second, and the way the review will happen is, once the date's completed or the next day, maybe 24 hours later, a prompt will come back up to review the person. If you still want to review them, review them. If you don't review them. But the way I was thinking, like a review system, and on a very simple level, could be like, was this person the person they said they are? That can include height, or we can get to the specifics of like, were they their height? Were they their occupation? Like we can just say, was this the person they said? You can rate the actual date, and basically leave a review. And in the early stages, which we are in, maybe, these dates get posted. Maybe they don't, maybe they go to review to us. So that way we can see that no one's like getting sabotaged here. Because obviously the first things that come to mind is like, all right, like let's just say me and you go on a date, I decide not to pay, and now you're pissed and you're just like, this guy's horrible. Like, all right, we can't have that either. I don't think there's ever going to be like a banning thing either. Like, oh, this guy was horrible, 3 strikes, you're out, you're off the app. Like, I don't think that'll be a thing. But it's just one of those things where we are talking about it. And we're thinking about it. So we have more in-depth ideas, and some that take these like 5 stars, the date was good, 5 stars, the person is who they say they are, 5 stars for whatever. So
Was there any way you could like rebuttal, like on Yelp, like someone does a bad review and then the owner just like, no, that's not what happened, like,
ideally, yes, that would be, there would be like some way to rebuttal, or for us to be like, did this actually happen? Like, let's just say it was you and you got some crappy reviews, or just like some, like you're not who you are, the date was horrible, etc. We would probably hopefully have somewhat of an automated system to reach out to you, and then you can feed it back to us. And then we would do the same on our end to the other person. Like, hey, can you give us a little description of why they said they weren't who they are, and why the date was so horrible? If they're responding like, he didn't pay for my dinner, you're not getting that review posted. Like, you know what I'm saying?
That makes sense. Like, it's more in depth because, I guess, because I was just wondering, it'd be unfair if someone
Exactly.
just wrote like a quick like YouTube comment, like a hater,
Exactly. And I think that's why no other app has done this that I know of, unless there is. And for that app, amazing. Maybe I need to go learn something from them. But that I know of, I don't think any app has done it. And I think it's because it's like, how exactly do we implement this without scaring our users away? But we're going to try and find it and make it fair. I'll let you
You're gonna
Yeah.
limit the text, right? Like it's gonna be like 500 characters.
Yeah,
It's gonna be like
and
crazy.
maybe
Right.
there might not even be text. There might not even be text. It might literally be just stars. And if it comes out completely horrible, then it's like now we're reaching out to that person, like to both parties, like, okay, why was it that bad? What did you do? You know,
I like to see him. To be honest,
you want to join that?
I go on Yelp and be like, "Is this?" You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we're in a reviews age. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah,
we're.
I think, yeah, it's kind of like a Yelp for a dating app, right? Except for, of course, we want to keep it fair and we want people to trust us. So I think, of course, we're still within the team talking about it. So if you guys have any ideas, leave them in the comments. But essentially, I think the beginning stages of this would be we want to ensure safety. So I think our top priority is, were they who they said they were? And, you know, maybe there can be some physicality things to like prevent the catfishing and stuff like that. But again,
I'm 6 foot.
yeah, we're still fine tuning everything, but we just thought that'd be a cool idea. So
Is there gonna be also like a helpful, like this was helpful, and like
yeah,
only the people, I guess, trying to match with that person can see it. Or
yeah.
like-
And that may be an idea. I do agree with that too. Like
Or
maybe
emoji.
maybe that was perfect. Maybe
Or like put a, I think this is BS, like something like that.
Yeah, or
I think whatever. you
well,
know.
back to that. Like maybe you can only see the reviews once you've matched with that person.
Yeah.
That might scare some matches
what?
away though, but like that is a good idea.
Or
Like,
after 3 dates, I don't know, like whatever.
and that was another point is after 3 dates, like they go away, or let's just say 2 or 5, whatever it is. That was another thing.
Like a point on a car. We got when you get pulled over, like a ticket. You know,
yeah,
the
like
point
on the
system.
Yeah.
license. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, let us know in the comments if QQ comes out with a rating system. Would you guys use our app? And what kind of rating system would you guys want to see? You will be on our app.
Yeah. And then the second thing that's in the work, and this will probably come out sooner than the reviews, probably not for the initial like launch with the app, but shortly after, will be a kind of like not a pop quiz, but like a questionnaire. So again, I match with someone and you guys can basically just
Prompt.
exactly
Conversation
just like prompts,
starter.
like click the prompt and you guys will each get shot like 5 or 10 questions. What's your ideal date, etc., etc., etc. Fill it out and then it's like kind of should do the work for you. Like, all right, is this girl, can I take her on a hike? No, she doesn't like hiking, you're not doing that. But like, you know, she doesn't like sushi. That might be, what food don't you like? Sushi. Well, you're not going to get sushi on the first date.
Well, this is going to help a lot of men out there that just don't have the riz.
Exactly.
It's going to help you guys out, and it's also going to help, you know, some of these men out here, as women too, say the most wildest stuff. Like in that first
10,000
message.
haze.
It's outrageous. So we're really hoping these prompts they're really going to help you guys out. We're thinking
10,000
ahead.
haze.
Yeah, you know the dude on Instagram
It's like,
that's
hey.
like, hey,
You don't reply.
Hey.
Hey.
2 months like, hey,
Hi.
Hey.
And then gets mad.
yeah,
Like you
hey,
didn't do anything.
Why aren't
didn't
you
reply, and
replying?
They're mad.
Yeah.
Wait. Guys do that?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
They say hey.
Yes.
Yes.
I
Damn,
know.
that's like girls on Bumble.
Oh, guys.
The infamous haze.
If you're doing that, you can't.
Here's your
we
hint,
can't
don't
help
do
you.
it.
We can't help you, but you know, it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, I kind of want to do a little like full circle moment. And Fredo, I kind of want to ask you like what created the initial spark? Like why QQ? Why dating app? What was going on there?
Life happens, guys. No, so I downloaded dating apps, but I kind of used them for I'm in this town for the weekend. So I never was like too serious about it, but I always knew like, okay, so I'll get a little personal here. Like for me, I just want somebody I could like grow with and build with. And you're not just going to find that on every dating app because some girls are down to just like hook up and then it's like time consuming. You have to sift through a lot of fake stuff. Sometimes they don't go anywhere. Sometimes you can't put yourself fully out there like, hey, this is what I'm doing. Like now, okay, I go on this dating app. Here's my Instagram. Here's my podcast. And here's the dating app. You know what I'm saying? So like there wasn't room for me to be like, this is who I am. Like in a short, it's like, this is who he is.
Yeah.
But like, man, what are you really doing? So I was like, this kind of sucks. But I know, you know, I want someone that I could build with, someone who's like gonna like be there with me and not just, you know,
Someone that's going to add value to your life.
exactly add value. And vice versa, right? That's another thing. I don't want to like just be with someone. I'm not going to say not have anything going for themselves, because that's totally fine too. But maybe someone who's just won't think the way I think, you know, like even if you aren't a college graduate or have a 6-figure job or live on your own, whatever, that's fine. But like, can we spark each other's brain? Can you stimulate my brain and give me a conversation worth having?
Right.
So I was like, I don't know if, you know, it's going to take me time to get through this on other apps. So just like the podcast, I gave it thinking. And one day I was just sitting there, and I'm kind of impulsive. I do a lot of things just like this, but I've given it thought, and like I had kind of brainstormed, and I called one of my best friends and I was like, dude, how does this sound? And he's like, that sounds sick. And I was like, amazing. Would you want to like help me and like invest in this, like figure this out? He's busy and he's not really like there for like creative. So he's like, sure, I will. I said, okay. I hung up the phone and I got on the phone where I put in like 7 different emails and calls that day with like developers. So I spent the next week on calls with different developers. Ironically, the person that we went with to develop the app was the first person I got on the phone with, for a few reasons. I'm not going to say them all, but he just seemed like the best fit. So that kind of led that. It was like 2 weeks later, we ended up signing the contract. I called back my buddy first and I was like, hey dude, are you sure you want to, you know, do this? And he's like, yeah, I'll do it. I was like, all right, I'll just handle all of this. I think I could take care of it. I know my sister and,
I think that was our first time announcing that we're actually siblings. We'll go back to that. We'll circle back.
But yeah, so then once he agreed, because I was like, dude, I don't know if I want to take this risk. It's like the one thing about entrepreneurship, guys, is like trying to mitigate risk. That's my biggest thing, is how can I mitigate risk? And I'm sure a lot of people
You can't.
I mean, but you can mitigate some things. So I was like, okay, I don't want to completely, if I take the L here, I don't want to take it by myself. So needless to say, he was like, yeah, like I see it. Let's do it. So I got on the call with the developer. He, you know, showed the idea. He understood the concept. We agreed there. And then I, you know, called you, had a talk with you before anything was signed. And then that started that. And then we had discussions of like, okay, who can we get for this? Or how do we do this? So that was kind of the spark. I mean, the initial spark was the dating app world didn't really fit me. And I was like,
so can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go for it.
So is it fair to say that the initial spark of QQ was you going through the dating experience, wishing you had QQ? So essentially you created an app that you wish you had to find someone.
That I probably won't use, yes.
All right.
Just because it might
cool.
be weird, like, hey guys, I created this.
You should totally be on the app.
Really?
Yeah.
Of course.
Go on the app.
Ladies.
Try to find the founder.
Just wait. Yeah.
Try and find the founder.
How's your experience been so far? That's your bio.
Oh. Yeah. There we go.
There you go.
Wait, you guys create my profile for me?
Will.
You should make it so people can bitch. You'd be like, fuck. And then
Literally.
Like, damn, that's like the feedback,
How's
bro.
You can go on a date with Alfredo and review him.
Santa Barbara, California. Come in my local area and we'll
Now you know everything he's looking for.
Jeez. Where do we go back to? So, all right. Yes, we are the first dating app with brother and sister creating this. So this is my sister.
I think it's a little interesting. And it also, you know what, that sets us apart. Because what other dating app is out there that have a brother and sister creating? It's a little bit, I guess, taboo, but I think it's kind of fun.
It's fun.
What's it like working with your siblings?
So I have this thing, and it's actually really bad, but I love, like, I use a lot of close people around me, and I just think that they're available to me 24/7. So if I need something or have a question or want something or need something to get done, I just think that, one call away and it just happens. So something I need to recognize as a creative on all the things I'm making is I'm just don't have anyone available 24/7.
Well,
And I'm sure.
I have a little spin on that. So,
So go for it.
what it's like working with your brother is it's boundaryless. So I will get messages constantly. We have a work group chat, and I will get calls and texts outside of that all night. And I am constantly trying, he's my brother and I love him. And at the same time, I'm passionate about what this app and what it's going to do. So I also need to create boundaries, but I think it's just kind of trying to keep our professional relationship separate than, the fact that we're siblings and we have the same family and we go on vacation together. So it's definitely different. It's definitely a learning curve, but I mean, we haven't killed each other yet. So I'm hoping that, it pays off. No more text past like 9 p.m. though. That might be a new boundary.
Yeah. And when they put their phone on Do Not Disturb, I just notify anyway.
He does notify me anyway. I'm like, how did I just get this?
In the DMs.
Yeah, so it's been interesting and fun. I mean, again, I'm thankful you guys are both here and I mean, we could all talk about it. Like, it's been different creating an app. Like, it's one thing, like, how different is this for you than what you've done as an entrepreneur yourself and people you've worked with?
I think it's interesting that you brought up the level of risk because in most entrepreneurial ventures, you just have to kind of own that in the beginning stages, especially, there's a really high chance that, things could fail. Like most businesses do not see any sort of profit or success until after their first 3 years of business. And that's a norm. And of course, like when people, hire me or hire out, what you're saying, they're trying to like lower the risks. They want to, increase their chances of success. Most of the time, people don't even come to me until they've been in business for like 5 to 10 years and they're just ready to scale up and grow. And so I think like to answer your question, I think the biggest difference between like the other businesses I've worked with and developing an app is just I love working in the online field. I love AI. I love technology. That is like where I thrive. And so if anything, I feel like there's a lot more room to just take these technicalities that I have been giving, like, when we do the brand strategy, I'm like, okay, here is your audience avatar. This is why the logo and the colors need to look this way. And it's more serious because, it is essentially the only place that the people are going to be finding the target audience for this app is going to be online. It's going to be through the app. So it's like, you don't have a storefront. You don't have, a referral system. You don't have all of these other outlets. Of course, we still do the basics like Instagram, TikTok, podcasting. So we still have that online aspect, but that's the full entire area. And that's the area that I've always focused on. That's the area that people have hired me for. So I feel like it really, it's pretty seamless. Like I feel like it does flow with the other projects that I've done, but I like that it takes the playing field and puts the entire field online because that's the area that I'm more comfortable in. That's the area that I like to work in. And it also, again, it just makes it so it's so much easier. And I'm going to get a little technical, but it's so much easier to figure out like the target audience and to shape, if we're doing advertisements, to shape ads around that because we know, hey, this is the only audience. There's not going to be somebody walking by and see the storefront. There is no storefront. It's the storefront is the app store and that's the online space. So I guess it's just like, it's taking something that in a lot of other businesses that was maybe like 30 to 50%. Maybe they're coming to me because, the online area is only like 10% of their business and they want it to be like, more 60% of their business. They want to get more people from online and it just takes it so that it's 100%. And I like that. I think it makes it easier to do the strategy, I think it makes it easier to do the marketing for it, because it's very clear. The pathway to how they're going to find us is very clear. The call to actions are clear. And I like that.
Yeah. Well, I kind of wanted to jump in and just kind of talk about how we created our team. I mean, we talked about how me and Fredo got into business, but Hannah. So Hannah and I are longtime best friends, and also we've done business together for the past few years. And so when Alfredo and I were thinking about, who do we want to bring on, we knew the skill set that we needed, but it was more than that for us. We wanted someone that was passionate. We wanted someone that, was good at what they do, but also would fit the dynamic of our team. Because at the end of the day, like, we have a strong set of morals that not only we want to broadcast on the app, but also within our team, because our app is only going to be as strong as our team. And so after he and I discussed and, went through a list of potential candidates, we reached out to Hannah. She just had finished traveling, and I was kind of unsure. I knew she'd fit our team perfectly, and I was kind of like, if it's meant to be, it'll be. And so we then reached out to Hannah. We, pitched our idea. Again, it's a big risk, right? Because big risk takes big reward. And I knew she kind of shared that mindset. And so we reached out to Hannah, and luckily she decided to join our team. And now that kind of finalized things. And we've been working pretty seamlessly together for the past about 8 months. So yeah, thank you for joining and embarking on it.
I don't think
I
it's
can't
8.
believe.
Is
I
it
think
8?
it's like 6.
It's been a while, 6, I don't know, since like last summer. Or I guess maybe for us it's been a longer.
I think it's been 6.
6 months, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, again, thank you guys. I think it's interesting because this is like my first company. Like, I started the podcast sooner, at least publicly, but this is like the first time it's all official. There's contracts, documents, LLC, lawyers.
It's a lot of
guys. So I think it's interesting just creating something from the ground up, but kind of like you mentioned, it is a lot different, because when you think about regular business, you're like, okay, what are sales like? What can sales be expected? Store front and just store in general, like, just, it's so different than anything else creating an app, because it's all online. There's not like tons of overhead. You don't need to have stuff in stock. Like, it's so different. And it's kind of crazy that this is, I guess, the path that I ended up going when it came to creating this. I mean, I've always wanted a restaurant, and hopefully I still create a restaurant one day. I don't know what kind.
QQ restaurant.
I didn't know
coming soon.
that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that you wanted a
Well,
restaurant.
I love food. I've always worked in restaurants.
He's a really good cook. He cooks for the family all the
I
time.
could kind of
Wait. Okay, there's a whole Alfredo I'm missing out on.
So, yeah, I don't know. I was just, when the spark kind of just hit me, it was kind of like the podcast where I was just thinking about it a lot, and someone kind of just was like, do it. And I was like, I'm doing it. And then, yeah, back to risk. I'm big on like just trying to mitigate it as best as you can. Obviously, everything in life is risky. And if like there was no risk or skin in the game, like you'd kind of be careless, right? You'd just be like, all right. But there's still a certain point where it's like, okay, what are some things I can do to make sure that if the things don't play out, I'm not like, oh my God, I'm stuck. Like, that was crazy.
Do you remember that conversation that we had about risk when we were discussing the launch party?
No, talk to me.
Oh, I think this is a cool story to share, because there was a lot going on at the time, but we were trying to figure out essentially like the launch plan and the marketing plan for QQ. And I've been involved with a lot of businesses. We've done a lot of launch plans. And so I'm used to just like having to adapt and change things like really quickly on the spot. And I remember in the moment, like, we were doing the pitch, and at the end, we had a few questions that just, brought up some ideas for change. And at the time you were like, what? No, we can't do this. And I was like, wait, Alfredo, no, we have to, we have, you know, we have to be able to adapt. We have
Yeah.
to be able to change. We have to be able to like see what's going to work and like where we need to, you know, shift things. And I remember that conversation, like we ended up talking for like, I think like 15 minutes just specifically about like risk. And it was so funny because like I'm just so comfortable with it. I'm so used to it. Like I'm just so used to like, oh, this could just, you know, not this could flop, but like, you know, there's so many instances where like you're trying a new strategy and it just doesn't work, and you just have to like switch on a dime and be able to like transform it. And I remember like watching your brain like process that and like, you know, shift in that moment. And it was like this like huge hurdle of just like, oh my gosh, okay, we need to change tactics. But you took it well. You know, it only took like a 10-15 minute switch.
No, I know
were
what
like,
you're talking about. It was the date, or if we should have it ready for the,
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I'm okay with risk. I'm okay with like things changing, which is like a whole nother life story. But I guess like the military part of me is always like, all right, here's my plan A. My plan B is already written out. And if there's a plan C, it's written out too. So it's like not that deep. But when you go from plan A to just something completely that wasn't even ever discussed, I was just like, oh my God, no way, we're not doing this. But I do remember that. And you guys had to be like, dude, it's fine, this and that. And I'm like, I do remember that. And we still struggle over it to this day because we just had the conversation about it like 2 weeks ago.
Well, since you guys brought it up, I guess that brings us to our launch event, which we are having. And probably we don't have a date yet, but if you go to our website, if you're watching this and you don't have us on socials, go to our website, put in your email, sign up for
website link.
Yeah, the link will be in the description here.
It's quality over. Do you guys want to share?
No, we're changing it.
Oh, never mind. We're changing.
Either way, our website will be in the description, and we are having a launch event. It's going to be here in Hope Ranch, Santa Barbara. We have a lot of big plans for it, and so it's going to be pretty sick.
It's going to be a party. It's going to be super fun.
The idea is to collaborate with a company.
We won't
for
say
alcohol. We're not going to say who because it's not official.
It's a surprise.
But
a lot of surprises coming.
We're going to have fun dating games.
DJ.
DJ.
360
a few
photo.
Performances.
360 photo booth. And yeah, I think we're like, we might put out some tickets, but if we put out tickets, you'll just come in and just drink away your little heart.
Yeah, we'll have more details.
Body. But yeah, we'll
coming.
Yeah, we'll have the details set. But it'll be the same time frame. Spring, April,
spring, summer, beginning of summer.
Yeah, April, May time frame.
Yeah, so
beginning of summer.
Yeah, beginning of summer.
Beginning of summer.
So all you guys need to do now is
subscribe on the website, follow us on
and
Instagram.
All the information will be coming from there.
Yeah. Do you guys have anything else?
No, I think we kind of covered it all. But if you guys have any questions or ideas or things you guys want to see, definitely drop it down in the comments.
I feel great. Do we want to ask any?
Woo?
Do you have questions for us?
No.
Question man turned shy.
No, I mean.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, actually, never mind. Fuck it. It's cool.
Ask.
You have it. Ask
Don't
it.
worry about it. Don't worry. It's cool.
No, I want to know.
I want to try the app.
You want to try the app?
Yeah.
Do you want to be one of the beta users?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right.
Beta users. What do you mean? Like you're gonna?
Yeah. Should we talk about the beta? I feel like that's a cool thing to talk about.
So yeah, go for it.
Okay. I'd love to. I'll talk about it. So
microphone to you.
Pass the mic. No. So yeah. So this is something that we were trying to figure out how to do. How to launch it well. Essentially, when you design anything, you have to have. I'm just going to kind of go through the process. A beta test group, because this is the first time this app is going to be live in the world. So we want to make sure it works right. We want to make sure there's not like weird kinks. There's not, we want feedback from the beta users. We want feedback from the audience. So the idea is to have a select group that is a diverse group. We don't want to just be stuck in like one single, niche group of people. And get their feedback on how they are enjoying the app, what they think, if they want to share it and promote it, that's also going to be a part of it. But the main thing is we really want to see how they're liking the app, and like if there are, since it will be in the preliminary development, it'll be live, but we still have that opportunity to make some changes, add things, fix things, and make sure everything's working right, so that way when we do have the launch party, bring it to the public, whichever order that's in, we know that everything's working good, and we know we've already gotten it's hard to change things when you're inside the jar. So the beta group is outside the jar. They can look at the app, they can tell us what do they think, what do they want to change. I feel like you have a question.
Oh, I was just gonna say I feel like I shouldn't use it then, because it should just be like someone like that's not even
Connected to us.
Yeah.
No, I think you'd be best.
Well, then people will think like, oh, well, he knows Fredo and he's just saying good things about it because they know each other.
That's a fair point.
That's how I'm like thinking.
Well, the
of it.
feedback is really for
but
us.
But yeah, the feedback is for us. I don't.
It's not for other
If
people.
you feel like you can be honest with him,
Yeah.
then use it.
Yeah, I can be honest.
He could be
but...
very honest.
Okay, well, guess what? We have our first beta tester.
Yeah.
Here.
Yo, don't say that. Oh, okay.
With that being said, so if you're in the area, Santa Barbara, Ventura, Southern California, and you wanted to be a beta tester, we would love that. Secondly, the app will go, hopefully, US wide, but it will start within the California region, and then we have kind of a map set out of, okay, let's open the regions. This is one of the interesting things, like developing this and not having a business coach or a coach for this type of thing. And I was like, okay, wait, how do we get this to everyone? And one of the things I thought of was like, you can't just put this on the App Store and just let everyone open it, because if you're in Idaho and you find the app, or you see this podcast or follow us or whatever, and you're the only person in Idaho, you're not going to find anyone. So
we did India.
No, we're not going worldwide yet.
We did base it off of, other past successful launches, and we did, obviously market research and all of that to make sure, like, like when we released it, we're not going to just release it and it's going to be random. And like, if you're, in India or, wherever, another country, and you're not going to have access to the app, because who the heck would you match with? Maybe nobody knows about it there yet. So, starting with a select group of people, a group that, is somewhat handpicked, but also, again, we want it to be random because we really do want, honest feedback. I think it helps, guarantee the success of the app, and also just make sure it's working properly, and that people are going to, go on there and be able to find people that they can realistically go on a date with.
No. Just listening. It's interesting.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's it. So yeah, guys, quality and quantity, QQ, that's what we'll be known by. That'll be in the App Store. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, website.
We'll have it all in the description.
Yeah, it'll all be in the description. So we appreciate you guys' support. We hope that you guys enjoy the app. Again, this is an app for you to kind of showcase yourself the best way possible, without having to transfer to 3 or 4 or 5 different platforms to find a person. If you want to promote your stuff, use it as that as well. So yeah, we appreciate you guys.
It's an app for everyone.
An app for everyone.
Is that what we're going with?
That's what we're going with.
We are.
An app for everyone.
An app for everyone, yeah.
All right.
It's a dating app for everyone.
Cool logo.
App for everyone.
Tagline.
All right, well.
All right, guys, we appreciate it. We'll see you on the next one.